of the science of composting. The developed system synchronizes various facets of technology in a synergistic manner. Nutrient extraction is to the maximum of both manure and liquid. Indeed, the byproducts are reused intelligently that benefits a circular economy than just suppressing it. The dangers of semi-composting is in the leftover of strong presence of dangerous pathogens. As a team on various permutations and combinations and developed an array of models.
Composting bins, which was done scientifically based on certain parameters. It has done extremely well, utilizing the microorganisms and converting it into very, very rich compost.
Pre-treatment of organic waste is done in the biodigester of Clairefontaine OWC, where it addresses the morpholic phase of composting. The final compost which is produced is of high quality and has high nutrient value as evident from the tests carried out by the University of Agricultural Sciences, Bengaluru. The system is approved under the aegis of the National Green Tribunal of Pollution Control Board, besides receiving various global accolades. It was in this existing center that our system was piloted, in which our team was involved since inception.
The PBMP, they can replicate in every ward.
We upped the value chain by introducing our automated system in the first co-composting site of treated fecal sludge. The stakeholders were: our system was introduced to enhance scalability for co-composting. Core processor has a modular scalability concept, and the configuration of the design permits exponential capacity enhancement.
Good evening, all of y'all. Before we get to the serious talk and all that, we'll have a little bit of fun, engaging quiz. Of course, the topic is not going to change. It's going to be waste management itself as part of the series. So it's going to be a fun, engaging, very interactive quiz. So I would like all of you all to just interact and absorb whatever we have to present, right? So we are from Q-Shala. I will be your quiz master today. My name is Durga from Q-Shala. So we are a Bangalore-based startup that aims to foster curiosity and inquisitiveness through questions and stories primarily. We use contextual media. We do a lot of workshop for students, college students, and school students also. So we also have the credit of having the Limca Book of World Records for conducting quizzes in all the 7 continents of the world. So that is something we always like to brag about. So I hope you all enjoy today's session also. So as I told, this is definitely not competitive. It's going to be a very informative and interactive quiz based on today's theme itself. So the first 5 questions, we will name it potpourri. So we will have the first 5 questions where, I'll present the question. If you want to answer, if you want to take a crack at the answer, just put your hands up. We'll also give you a goodie if you get the right answer, right? So, sorry? Inside something recyclable, yes, definitely. Okay, so without any further ado, I think the sessions will start at 3:30, 3:35. So before that, we'll just have a kind of an ice-breaking session itself, I will say. So the first set of questions we have as the potpourri questions. So we will have 5 questions. It'll be a mixed bag of questions on different aspects of waste management. Like I mentioned, answer the question for a wonderful goodie from our side, okay? So the first question here, Himachal Pradesh is aiming to be completely plastic-free by 31st of March 2026. One of the initiatives in the state involved distributing of reusable item to 6 lakh government school children. What items are these? So whose plastic variation is one of the major issues in waste management itself. So what is it that Himachal Pradesh is distributing as a reusable item to 6 lakh government school children? So the school children is the biggest clue here. So what is it that they are giving to, can we have a mic passed on to the audience? Thanks. Yeah, so what is it that Himachal Pradesh is, doing so that they aim to be completely plastic free by March 31st of this year? Yes. It's okay, guesses, definitely it's like a renewable resource, so we can take in a lot of guesses, yes.
Is it lunch boxes?
Is it lunch boxes? Very close there, but very, very close to the answer. So let's give the mic, pass the mic on to him here. Yes? Absolutely right. It is water bottles, steel water bottles to be specific. So the Himachal Pradesh government is giving free steel water bottles to get rid of the plastic water bottles. Let's watch a small video.
अब इसका क्या?
Make eco break.
Eco break?
Have the sound a little.
See, when we fill laminate material inside the PET bottle goes for a separate recycling stream, laminate goes elsewhere, and then the waste worker or the sorting person has to pull out everything from the bottle, which nobody will do, as both materials don't get recycled. So that is never to be done.
Make a craft activity?
See, PET was not designed to be a long-lasting material. So anything that you make out of this, in no time it will degrade. And then it will have to go to a landfill because you would have added things to it, you would have stuck things to it or put a mud in this, which can then not be recycled. So instead of getting recycled, it will have to go to landfill. So craft, not a good idea.
Recycle?
Yeah, so recycling is a better idea than craft and eco brick. But when we recycle products also, it has its own footprint. It will take some amount of fuel to transport this water bottle, to then process it, shred it, make it into threads. And after recycling the t-shirt, what happens to that? When the t-shirt ends, that also goes to the landfill. So hence we are not solving the problem through recycling, we are just postponing it. It is still going to the landfill. Use mat karo. The best way to manage waste is to avoid waste. Use this.
So yeah, so it is as simple as not using, the plastic bottles, the Bisleri bottles, or the, as part of the lunch bags that we send kids also. So it is better off with steel bottles, and that is what the Himachal Pradesh government is also aiming. It's distributing as many water bottles as possible to get. The aim is to become plastic free. To aim is to become make Himachal Pradesh plastic free this year. So on to the next question. So BYOB bill took effect on the 1st of January 2026 in this place in the USA, Maryland. So the bill encourages citizens to be environmentally conscious when shopping. So what is the name of the bill? The clue itself. Sorry?
Bring your own bag.
Absolutely right. BYOB stands for bring your own bag, right? So encourages people to bring their own shopping bags. So I hope all of us, at least here in the audience, do that religiously. So let's watch a video
started giving fruits and vegetables in paper covers now. Isn't that wonderful?
So many bags for 1 day of shopping.
But what's wrong with that?
So one problem with paper is because those of us who think plastic is not good, we had started carrying our own bags. Now that we see these papers in the shopping malls, we think this is fine, this is eco-friendly, and we have stopped carrying our bags and we use many of these, which is not good.
But I thought paper was the most eco-friendly option for plastic bags.
No, not really. See, when we make paper bags, because they don't have much strength on their own, we use a lot of paper. And paper is made from cutting trees. Paper making has a very high chemical and water footprint. So in a way, single-use paper is actually worse than single-use plastics.
So kya kare? Go back to plastic bags.
No, we have to start carrying these. Carry 5-6 bags inside your bags for all your vegetable needs. This is the way to go.
So yeah, so all of us automatically think, paper is better than plastic. So, as much as paper bag is okay to be used and all that, but yeah, bring your own bag is what we have to stick to. Moving on to the next question. This IKEA campaign speaks about making small modifications to run an eco-friendly and sustainable home. So the campaign is a nod to which 2008 animation movie that showcased a lonely eco-warrior's journey in a trash-filled earth. So we are looking at the name of the movie as the answer here, which spoke a lot about trash.
Change a bit for good. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Okay, yes.
Wall-E.
Absolutely right. That is Wall-E. So, so with this, we will take a small pause at, for this quiz. We will continue after the panel discussion and all that. So, see you all back soon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Indian Institute of Science. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Indian Institute of Science. I am Niharika, and on behalf of Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster, an initiative under the aegis of the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India and Bengaluru Apartment Federation, I'm thrilled to have you here for inaugural session of the Public Talk series on the Science for Sustainable Urban Living. This series is a collaborative effort by the BAF and BEST cluster, and over the next 6 months, we will dive into the science behind the issue that impact our daily urban lives. Today, we kick things off with a critical pillar: waste management, segregation to zero waste living. The episode is sponsored by Hasirudala Innovations, a for-purpose company with a foundational ethos of inclusive circularity, Aditi Stone Soup, and Metsi Envirotech Private Limited. We also like to acknowledge the support of the Indian Institute of Science, SAHAS, Socrates Foundation, Bangalore Political Action Committee, Bengaluru Post, Q Shala, Daily Hunt, and One India. To commence our formal proceedings, it is my privilege to invite Mr. Satish Malya, President of the Bangalore Apartment Federation, and Mr. Anantaraman, CEO of the Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster, to kindly escort our esteemed chief guest to the stage. We are privileged to welcome Shri Srinivasulu, IFS, Principal Secretary of the Environment and Ecology Department, Government of Karnataka. A distinguished officer of the Indian Forest Service, he has dedicated his career to advancing the sustainable development, ecological conservation, and environmental governance in the state. His leadership has been instrumental in shaping policies that balance Karnataka ecological priorities with societal needs, making him a guiding force in Karnataka's journey towards environmental stewardship. To set the context for today's gathering, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Anantaraman, CEO of the Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster, to deliver his introductory remarks.
Good evening to everybody. It's a pleasure to see you here, and warm welcome to Indian Institute of Science. I think your travel was equally good. I think I want to thank Sri Srinivasulu IFS sir for coming, making the occasion here. I think it's absolutely privileged to have you here. Thank you to Satish is here, and Mr. Arun is here from BAF. Both thank you for absolutely great effort for making this event to come to this situation. We've taken a lot of effort to reach here for the first episode, and I'm sure, with this participation from the citizens' feedback, I think we are going to make it a very successful event today. I want to take this occasion to quickly introduce about BEST. I think you would have seen the joint association BEST and BAF here. It's my privilege to introduce a quick one about BEST, what we are doing, and what is the objective of that. BEST, as they say, is Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster. We talk about science and technology, how it can be able to help the society in solving its own problem. Through effort which is collaborative, create an ecosystem and make the ecosystem to address some of the local problem, which then can be replicated across the country. Now, that's the objective. We are part of Office of PSA to Government of India, and we are placed out of Indian Institute of Science. We take many quick one. I think the society gives us a lot of opportunity to work in various areas, to retain the focus, to have the problems identified in certain areas which can be resolvable. We have taken for the first couple of years of operation, which we call as phase 1, health. We have taken one health. We have taken digital health, and we have taken precision agriculture as our focus area. In all these three areas, we are bringing the ecosystem player, we bring the industries, we are talking to government, we are talking to various other stakeholders in identifying some problems and resolve it. This is how the whole angle with which the science and technology works. Wherever we are in, we put the science and technology first, because we believe that I think for the long term sustainable and competitive country and then the state, I think S&T can play a very good role. And that's how this today's program also, if we see, we are talking about science and technology, how it can able to help the society. And the beauty of science and technology is about we dialoguing about that, we're bringing the best practices, and the best practices can be implemented. That's the advantage of science and technology, which is it brings objectivity to the entire program. I hope, I think today the discussions are going to be towards that. I wish, I think within absolutely great audience here. We were a little worried about Saturday traffic and how many will be in time, but I think we were thrilled to see excellent participation here. I hope, I think some of the discussions, which I believe, I think will be focused on science and the technology and the waste management, can bring some good idea for the city, and therefore we can help the city in a much better way. I think that's a request. I think we will keep, I think something like, I think our focus should be remaining on science and technology, where it can able to help us. With this few lines, I think I would once again, normally we thank at the end, but I would like to thank all the participants here, including BAF, to creating this occasion. It has taken long effort and very good participation, and this is going to only go up, as she said, next 6 months time, various topics, various locations in Bengaluru, and all working for the city and making it better living. Thank you very much, and once again a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Following this, we will hear from Mr. Satish Malya, President of the Bangalore Apartment Federation, who will share his thoughts on the vision behind this lecture series.
Good evening, everybody. Warm welcome to all of you. I think it's a great audience here today. I think most of them are from apartment community, so I don't want to talk about anything about the BAF, and you know them. But this is a great occasion for having MOU signed with Best Clusters. We are working with them last 2 years. I think it's a great opportunity for us to work with the scientific community. We want to bring what are the proven technologies to our apartment to start using it. And that is one of the purpose of this collaboration. And over a period of 6 months, we are going to do a lot of activities. Not only the series of every month some seminar and this type of programs, but parallelly we are going to document a lot of things so that our community can benefit it. So in this occasion, I again warm welcome to everybody. I don't want to talk much about it. I think a lot of people are waiting for the panel discussion, and ma'am is here from the Bangalore Solid Waste Management Limited. I think we have to hear a lot of things from them, and I welcome you again. Thank you.
Thank you both. It gives me great pleasure to announce the inauguration of our public lecture series on science for sustainable urban living. This series has been envisioned as a platform to bring together leaders, practitioners, and citizens to explore how science and technology can guide us towards a cleaner, greener, and more resilient and sustainable urban life. May I request our esteemed chief guest on stage to kindly join us for the official inauguration by showcasing the event brief and unveiling the dedicated web page, which features complete information on all episodes of the series, along with a special section titled Ask an Expert, which will remain open throughout the year.
Bengaluru's got a new initiative to take on its biggest urban challenges. Let's see what it's all about.
Ever feel the pressure of big city life? Yeah, it can be a lot, right? These challenges affect all of us. But here's the good news. Science has real answers. So, there's a new public talk series designed to help us find those solutions together.
It's a team effort between the Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster and the Bangalore Apartment Federation.
The whole idea is to connect scientific experts directly with residents just like you.
The goal? To improve the city's resilience, its sustainability, and, well, our quality of life.
Each session is super interactive. We're talking panel discussions with plenty of time for your questions. Over 6 months, the series is going to tackle some of the city's most pressing issues. But, the conversation doesn't just stop when the event ends. That's a core belief here.
That's why there's a Q&A portal online, so you can ask experts questions anytime. The process is simple. You submit a question, an expert checks it out, and the whole community learns.
All this great info will then get packed into a handbook for sustainable city living.
It's really about using proven solutions to drive real change, as a community.
So, are you ready to be part of the solution and help shape the future of Bengaluru?
Through this initiative, we aim to spark dialogue, share knowledge, and inspire collective action for sustainable Bengaluru and beyond. Let us mark the beginning of this journey with the spirit of collaboration and shared commitment to shaping urban spaces that truly support both people and the planet. Science and policy must go hand in hand. To solve urban challenges, to illuminate this broader perspective, it is my privilege to invite our chief guest, Sri Srinivasalu, IFS Principal Secretary, Environment and Ecology Department, Government of Karnataka, to deliver the keynote address.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, after lunch. yeah, that is it. Okay. Today is very important day because I think Bangalore Apartment Federation and then BEST is having this series of workshops. And every time when I get an opportunity to interact with this, I always keep emphasizing this point. In public domain, pollution means generally for common man, industry will come into picture. Okay, even if you see any cartoon or picture, pollution means a chimney blowing gas, and then that is the indication of pollution for a common man. But scientifically or realistically today, if we see, for example, even in Bangalore, the CPCB has declared polluted river stretches. That means these rivers are polluted. What is the indicator to finalize this is a polluted river or not? It is BOD. That is the sewage that is entering it. It is not electroplate industries, effluent or industry effluent. That is a indicator that is a point to define any river as polluted river. When first time when I saw polluted river stretch, when I was going through, river is polluted means we immediately think upside there is big industry, and that industry is not treating their effluent. It is coming to the water, and then that because of that water river is polluted. So you always look for chemical COD as a criteria to notify any river as polluted river. But for my surprise, it was not COD, it was BOD. BOD indicates what? BOD is essentially a output of sewage. That means if there is any city, any town that is upstream of that village, of that river, and if that sewage is not treated and it is entering into the river beyond river's treatability or capacity, then that river is turned into polluted river stretches. Like that in Karnataka there are 17 polluted river stretches. Why I am saying this is, gone are the days, maybe 50 years back, when we say pollution industry was the, I don't say culprit, but it's a reason for pollution. Today, anything about pollution or any discussion on that pollution, essentially, I don't completely say industry is doodh ko dhula hua hai. I'm not saying that, but apartments or residence or urban setting is taking a major reason for all kinds of pollution issues. It could be solid waste, it could be liquid waste, or any kind of waste. Okay? Today in Bangalore, you see the problem of landfills and other things. Today in Bangalore, if you discuss about pollution, do you think chimney is the point of discussion or landfill is the point of discussion? It is landfill is the point of discussion. Now, do you think any industry waste is going to the landfill? No. It is urban residential waste that is going to the landfill, and unscientific management of this is essentially the biggest problem. Second is even sewage. Okay, we say in Bangalore, Arkavati is polluted, Rishabhavati is polluted, kind of a thing. We hear all this. Now, this pollution is by in any industry. Again, there, it's not COD is the point; it is BOD is the point. That means the untreated sewage entering into water bodies is the real culprit of pollution. If overall, if I say today, yes, industry also takes part in it, but majority, significant contribution to the pollution, especially water and land, is not from industry but from residential townships. Maybe a significant part of air pollution, I think I still account for industries as a major factor, but as far as water is concerned and as far as soil pollution or this kind of concern is residential things. When that is the slow change in the contributors for pollution, it is high time that we identify we are the responsible and we have to take measures to address this problem. And there are two ways. Now, government sector is one where all residential layouts, public are living. Second is organized apartments, where today if I see, I think nearly in Bangalore, nearly 30% of Bangalore population lives in apartments today. Significant, nearly 30%, and it keeps on increasing. Okay. So any measure that a civic society takes up in addressing this problem, essentially it should come from now this 30% of the population. I am not absolving government of its responsibilities, I am not absolving BBMP of its responsibilities, but given the practical scenario and given the organized scenario, the apartments with this 30% contribution can be a place which can innovate, implement, and showcase successful, sustainable livelihoods, which other outside this apartment federation network, government or other BDA layout, revenue layouts, those kind of people can emulate. We cannot expect them to innovate. Okay, essentially it has to come from here. When that is the scenario, I think I'm very happy that Apartment Federation in association with BEST is taking this series, because if you ask me the real solution in addressing this problem is not necessarily in technology or solutions. It is essentially in awareness. If, for example, and at the end of the day again, the science initiatives can slowly be put in a different narrative of economics. Because unless otherwise, there is a problem, there is a technology, we know how to do it. But why we are not doing? For two reasons. One, we don't know. Not everybody knows that what is the solution. Sometimes even somebody knows it, mainly innovators or only handful people can do, but then majority people will get into this only when they are lured by economics, that if you do this, it is economically beneficial to you. Okay, and that's very important. I go back to one case study where, for example, let's imagine there is an apartment of 1,000 houses. If there are 1,000 houses, that means there are 3,000 people, 3 to 4,000 people. And on a ballpoint figure, every day they generate 1,000 kg municipal solid waste. Ballpoint figure. Out of that, easily 500 kg is wet waste. Sorry, wet waste, treatable waste. If it is actually treated, composted, 500 kg we should give me 200 to 250 kg of compost. And 250 kg of compost at a rate of 3 to 4 rupees should give me 1,000 rupees revenue. Every day, an apartment with 1,000 houses is expected to generate 1,000 rupees out of that compost, and per month it is 30,000 rupees. Ballpoint figure. Okay, this is just for composting. And today another 50% or another 30% is dry waste. Now, hitherto dry waste was not given that much attention. It's not that I don't say importance, but it was not given attention. But today, with more and more consumerism and then more and more change in lifestyles, the percentage of dry waste that is getting into municipal solid waste is increasing. Now, when I say that I don't see it as challenging is increasing. I would like to put it as opportunity is increasing, because in one function, somebody really demonstrated very well. Sir, you togoli idon plastic bottle prati manayalli ide. If you throw this plastic bottle in dustbin, and if somebody is coming to collect, you are selling it, the rate is 5 rupees per kg. I'm just giving one number. Suppose you, instead of throwing that plastic bottle, you uncap it and you throw cap separately and bottle separately. Then the value of bottle is now not 5 rupees, it is 8 rupees per kg. Now, second is, instead of throwing that bottle, take that bottle, and on that bottle there is a wrapper. Okay? You take out that wrapper and throw that bottle and throw wrapper in another one. Now the rate is 10 rupees per bottle. Okay? It is, I was asking him, why yaar, matlab, it's same bottle now, if I put bottle I am getting 5 rupees, but I am just taking it out, I am getting 10 rupees and 15 rupees per kg. The point is, whosoever is taking it, the amount of manual labor that is involved in uncapping, taking out wrap, and then using it for recycling. Recycling is a wonderful and highly economical activity, provided it is uniform. If only bottle caps is put, they can do wonders with that bottle caps. If only plastic, uncolored plastic bottle, he can do wonders. If you only give him that wrapper, he can do wonders. But if you club everything, he can't do anything. Okay? Because there is so much of labor involved. If the the person who is disposing at the ground level if it is taken it out, it increases the recyclability of that material to an extent it becomes economically viable. Why not only viable, it becomes economically competitive, and more people will come into this sector for collecting, recycling, and then reusing this. It is a simple change in behavior. It is not a great effort involved in apartment level for doing this. It is a simple change in behavior. If majority of the people are become aware of that, it will get into wonders. So like this, for example, again, today other solid waste like e-waste. Somewhere I was reading, if 1 ton of gold ore is mined or processed, you get, I think, 1 gram of gold. If 1 ton of e-waste is processed, collected, you get 10 times of that gold and then many times many other precious metals. It is such a valuable commodity. But then somewhere we are yet to graduate from municipal solid waste, sewage waste. All other these wastes are still in the pipeline. In fact, these days when our office is processing these applications for EC, I have started putting additional conditions wherein, see, today if there is any apartment is coming, what will be the condition they put? You have to have a dedicated sewage treatment plant. That is a standard thing that we put. Now these days I have started putting, because that is for sewage ho gaya. When it comes to solid waste, like an apartment, how they dedicate space for playground, how they dedicate space for your BESCOM line or that kind of a thing. Similarly, now they should dedicate place for collecting, segregating wet waste, collecting, segregating or dismantling e-waste, dedicated place for collecting, segregating dry waste, this kind of, because the amount of waste that is coming there is enormous and it is a continuous. Okay, so slowly we are putting these conditions in these new buildings, but any of these apartment people which are already there, they should essentially identify, because at the end of the day there has to be a facility to do this at the ground level. Then people will slowly understand how it can be done. Like this, in waste management, it is a real economic opportunity if we handle it properly and look for avenues. In fact, Bangalore Apartment Federation or through these forums, even they can look for some I don't call subsidy but incentives from solid waste board kind of a thing, wherein our agriculture department, okay, agriculture department purchases manure and then give it to people. There is a big budget for that. If Bangalore, if the manure compost that is generated from an apartment, there are big apartments of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 houses in Bangalore. Okay, now the agriculture department should be given an incentive that whosoever is giving this compost from apartments, it should be incentivized procurement from agriculture department, but that it can go to farmers field. Okay, now any apartment which is having, in fact earlier we are giving these authorizations wherein there is a catchment for some organization to go like e-waste collection kind of a thing. I mean, government even we can think of now, ward wise. In this ward there are 100 apartments of so many this. If there is a ward with 10 or 15 big apartments where 50,000 people live, now this 50,000 people will definitely generate substantial quantity of e-waste, substantial quantity, and a e-waste recycler can be now allotted by this. Today it is not, catchment is not fixed. Okay, somebody will purchase from there, somebody will purchase from there, and then they start fight among themselves for cheaper rates for many other things. That is the problem of collection and processing. Instead of that, if we have a dedicated areas, so that my point is, because these apartments are one places where many things are under control, boundaries under control, the residents are under control, they have a body of discussion, taking decisions making process kind of a thing, and they are well educated and then they can understand why we are doing and what we are doing, and more than that, they have to pay a maintenance charge for their house. Because if I am living in a revenue layout, I don't pay any maintenance cost to anybody to BBMP. Okay, but if I am living in an apartment, apart from paying my electricity bill and water bill, I also have to pay maintenance charge for that. And again, that maintenance is done by BBMP. So I am doubly charged there. So they have a financial burden on them. So given these situations, apartment can be a best place to innovate, introduce, initiate these innovative waste management practices. To that extent, whole city pollution level load will come down, as well as the success of this can percolate into other residential layouts, could be BDA revenue, other layouts, and slowly the problem that we are endowed with can be managed, addressed slowly. I think in this direction, I think whatever initiation that has been done, I saw that portal, website, and then QR code. It's wonderful because it's a whosoever has done that, it is such a wonderful initiative where I have some problem like what I told now, plastic bottle you put there, some brains will go through that and then they will give solution, and I can implement it in our level. So it's a wonderful initiative, and I know that Bangalore citizens are the aware. Civic awareness is highest in India, and we can really use this and then initiate such examples that Bangalore can be a beacon for many other civic societies in the country. And I thank the organizers for initiating that such a wonderful initiative and giving me an opportunity to share few thoughts. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful remarks. May I now request Mr. Anantaraman and Mr. Satish Malya to kindly present a memento to our esteemed chief guest as a token of our gratitude and respect. Thank you, sir. We are truly grateful for your presence and guidance today. Thank you, sir. We are truly grateful for your presence and guidance today. May I now request you to kindly take your seat as we move forward to the core of today's event, our panel discussion on waste management from segregation to zero waste living. Bengaluru generates thousands of tons of waste every day, and apartment communities contribute a significant share. How we segregate waste, compost waste, organic waste, and manage dry waste, e-waste, sanitary, and bulky waste has direct implications for landfills, public health, environmental outcomes, and the dignity of waste workers. To commence the discussion, it is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished panel of speakers who bring together perspectives from government, academia, civil society, and on-ground implementation. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage. Firstly, I would like to introduce Srimati Ramamani VK, KAS, who serves as the Chief Operating Officer of Bengaluru Solid Waste Management Limited. She has played a key role in strengthening Bengaluru solid waste management systems with a strong focus on source segregation, decentralized waste processing, and improved service delivery. Her experience at the intersection of administration, policy, and on-ground implementation offers valuable insights into how city systems and citizen participation can work together to achieve sustainable waste management outcomes. We are also pleased to have Professor H.S. Chanakya, former faculty at the Center for Sustainable Technologies, IISc. His research and technology development work has has focused extensively on the treatment and management of biodegradable municipal solid waste, agro waste, and wastewater. He has evolved and field tested several MSW and agro waste fermentation technologies and wastewater treatment solutions suited to Indian conditions, and has served as a technical advisor to institutions such as KSP, PCB, BBMP, and BWSSB. Joining the panel is Professor G.L. Sivakumar Babu, retired professor from IISc and leading expert in landfills, solid waste management, remediation of contaminated sites, life cycle analysis, and circular economy. He has led several research and consultancy projects in the field and is also a member of the Technical Guidance Committee of BSWML, contributing scientific rigor to city-level waste management decisions. Next, we have with us Mr. Shekhar Prabhakar, co-founder of Hasiru Dala Innovations, a for-purpose enterprise working on inclusive circularity by deliberately integrating waste pickers into the circular economy value chain. With over 2 decades of corporate experience in the IT sector across India, the UK, and the US, and a decade as a professor of marketing, he brings a unique blend of business insight, social innovation, and grassroots engagement. He is an alumnus of IIT Madras and IIM Calcutta. We welcome Ms. Archana, CEO of the NGO Sahas, which was founded in Bengaluru and now works pan-India to promote holistic and scientific approaches to solid waste management. Sahas works across the entire waste management ecosystem, engaging citizen, institution, and government to maximize resource recovery and minimize waste going to landfills. Finally, it is my pleasure to invite Ms. Savita Hiremat, Trustee, Solid Waste Management Roundtable Bengaluru, founder Endlessly Green, to the stage. A seasoned journalist and environmental advocate, Savita has been at the forefront of citizen-led waste management in Bengaluru for several years. Today, she joins us not only to share her rich experience in the sector, but also to moderate our panel discussion. If the audience has any questions for the panel, you may simply scan the QR code showed on the screen and post them anytime during the session. The questions will be addressed during the Q&A segment at the end of our session. Our volunteers will be around to help you with that. Over to you, Ms. Savita.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಹಾಗೂ ಗಣರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm always used to being on the other side of the panel, never as a moderator. So to our distinguished panelists, best BAF team, and the fellow citizens of Bangalore, I am Savita Hiremat, and it's both an honor and a responsibility for me to inaugurate this, to moderate this inaugural episode of the Science for Sustainable Urban Living. It is a very well thought out program, something that is born out of conviction to make sure the future of our city is not going to be shaped by chance, but by the conversations we have and the actions we take. So the topic is waste management, and we all know the numbers are very stark. 15 million people in one city, 6,500 tons of waste generated every single day. Okay? And this is not just a statistic, it's a mountain to climb. And that is why it has become a collective responsibility for all of us. But here's what gives me hope, what fills me with confidence, and looking at this wonderfully curated panel of accomplished individuals, right? So we have today government leaders who not only draft policies, but shepherd them into reality. We have representatives from the social sector who bridge the gap between what is possible and what is practical. And we have researchers, eminent scientists, whose laboratories have proved to be the testing grounds for the solutions we have all been seeking, right? So here's the pivotal moment. And I hope the conversations we have here today will ripple outward to apartment complexes, to policy chambers, and to communities. But before we move on to the discussion, I want to give you just a bird eye view of the critical pathways we are going to eliminate now that we have established the landscape. Number one, current systems and partnerships. What technologies are managing our waste? How can apartments partner with BSWML? Two, community engagement. Can we revive link worker programs to improve segregation awareness across neighborhoods? Three, innovative solutions from decentralized technologies tailored to apartment size to behavioral science and AI-driven sorting that could transform our low segregation rates. Four, environmental impact and opportunity, the true cost of landfills on climate and groundwater, and the potential of carbon credits. Can apartments turn waste management into revenue? Five, the emerging crisis, construction debris and e-waste will double by 2030. Are we ready? Six, ground realities, beyond dry, wet sorting. What works for e-waste, batteries, medicines? How do we integrate waste pickers with dignity? What do we do with mountains of compost? The producers are finding it hard to sell. And do waste to wealth models actually pencil out economically? The last one is the ultimate question. Is zero waste realistic for Bangalore? What sort of short, medium, and long-term actions must we take now? So, all right, the hour has come, and the expertise has gathered. The questions are urgent. So let us begin this essential dialogue, shall we? The first round would be an open round thrown open to all of you. But before that, I would like to thank all the distinguished panelists for their presence here, for their expertise, and for their continued commitment to Bangalore's green future. Welcome to all of you, sir, madam. Let us begin with context. And I would like to start with the government sector first. Why is waste management such a challenge in Bangalore, ma'am? What makes our city particularly, the situation in our city particularly complex?
Thank you, everyone. It's really nice that so many citizens have turned up. Your inputs and your cooperation is very important in this. BSWML is a company formed in 2021 exclusively for solid waste management of Bangalore city. So we are tasked with collection of the waste at the household level, transporting it through the transportations, and then going it and processing it before getting it disposed in the landfill. So as she mentioned, the statistics are huge, right? 6,000 tons per day. And one of the challenge is the door-to-door collection is not 100%. All the citizens don't opt to give the waste to us. And that lands up in, littering, creation of black spots. That is one challenge. Second challenge is about the collection part itself. Though we collect the waste, it doesn't really come as a pure, as sir was saying, the bottle into cap and the bottle and the sticker. No. Mix is the waste that is coming in. And most of the apartments are also not really emphasizing on segregation. So the challenge is that there's no segregated waste coming in, And after the transport, and that has a cascading effect, right? So when it's a mixed waste, getting it, because we have different streams of processing for different kinds of waste. We have our own GBA plants, the wet waste processing plants where the composting happens. We have the biogas plants and so on for the wet waste. And for the dry waste, now we have the waste to energy plant. So that requires pure dry waste to be sent there, not a single metal or a glass piece. So that's the challenge that we have in Bangalore. We have challenges in processing, and of course, because it is mixed, most of the waste lands up in the landfill. Landfill actually is supposed to get only the inert waste, which cannot be really recycled or upscaled. But what is happening because of this mixture in the waste is that landfill is kind of becoming a dump site, and we are not able to do it scientifically, scientific manner. In that manner, we are not able to process. So I would say that there are a lot of changes to be brought in, starting from behavioral change in citizens to, of course, our technology also needs a lot of improvement, and we also need to keep innovating and trying to bring in new things in the process. So, of course, two of the panelists are there as a part of our technical guidance committee, and they are giving a lot of inputs on the science and technology part, and we are also trying to build up things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramamani ma'am. That shows the scale and complexity citywide. Moving to the academia, Dr. Chanukya, from your research lens, what adds layers to this problem, this challenge? The question is, why is waste management such a challenge in Bangalore, and what makes our city's situation particularly complex?
Thank you everybody, and thanks to BEST and the sponsors to have called me here. I'll give a historic perspective to this, and I'll speak it from an entirely academic or a technological issue. The challenge of solid waste, if you think is just a few years old, is actually almost a century old. 1920, this institute first publishes a paper, how do I deal with wastes, how do I convert it to gas, and then provide illumination. Please remember in 1915 and 1920 when the institute just started, the source of illumination was not electricity, it was gas. So it starts there, and I think the first town, city to ask for a nice way to treat waste is in 1946, when again a scientist called C.N. Acharya, who was the national biochemist at IARI, the product of IISc, advises Bangalore, how do we make compost using those days tractor-based earth-moving equipment. So from then on, I think in the 70s, late 70s, then Bangalore City Corporation, no, it's not a corporation, it's a Bangalore Municipal Corporation, is the one that starts looking at, because it was under the health office. It was not, solid waste was not recognized by itself. And perhaps around the 80s, that's when the citizens and everybody woke up and said, we have to do something. And Captain Velu and a great man here, his wife also Nalini, and Wilma, all of us were concerned as to how do we solve this problem from a multiple set of dimensions. I will, while these young people, including me, were looking at how do we, from our own perspective, I looked at the academic side, the technology side, and they looked at from the social side, from the people side of the problem. What really became was that in the around the 80s, mid 80s, BMC did not know how much of waste was being produced. So we had to identify a novel way of to determine the quantity. So we just looked at the five or six arterial roads and kept people posted, stopped the trucks, sent them to a weighbridge, and then we collected. And that time it was around something like 800 tons per day. This is 87. From that time, then when you find that in 92 we have a seminar again in IISc, a lot of young people, including you, and I think we came together and said, look, Bangalore has to do something. So this is not an effort that was only done by academics alone, because academics joined the group. And by then, various groups started trying out different technologies at small scale. I think Sadashinagar Residents Association started the vermicompost, and then again in RT Nagar, they tried another form of waste. We tried biomethanation route because that was the obvious one. I always tell anybody has any problem, solve it with biogas. That's a different problem. That's what I do in real life. But then that led to a group going, Captain Velu and Almitra Patel going to the Supreme Court and filing an FIR, saying that we need something sensible for our country. So I look at it as a positive direction that people and the various bodies that are involved have gone together to create this. And that's the time we have an issue that what kind of technologies could be allowed. And then a committee was formed which sort of narrowed down. I think we'll discuss that a little later on. But what I see here is that if you look at historically, the type of waste that we are generating is changing. In the 80s, it was predominantly dust, so people were very happy making compost out of it. But now that we segregate and get pure, more or less domestic, waste from predominantly from the kitchen, which is fermentable. Now compost, how do we make compost from that? So we get new challenges from the technology side. How do I create new ideas from this? So this is where the challenges to the scientists are happening. Same thing there was no plastics in the 80s, hardly any plastics. But now you find multiple types of plastics. Although we have a whole lot of regulations in the plastic waste management, how do we segregate that? Now, you're going to raise that question whether artificial intelligence is able to segregate. I will not preempt that. But these are the technological challenges which academia and others have to work together. As what we need to do is 15 years ahead of time, think that this is going to be the problem. And can we be ready when the problem actually comes in that we can solve it? That is why Bangalore has far, far less solid waste management problem compared to any other city in this country. Thank you.
That's quite heartening to hear, because when we are looking at our own city, we think probably we are faced with the worst sort of problem. And that was an interesting insight, sir, about biogas and producing electricity through biogas back in the 1920s. And Professor Shivkumar Babu, we would like to hear your views on this.
So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity here. I have been working in this area of solid waste management for quite some time. I would like to take the stand from the current perspective that the 6,500 tons per day, what are we going to do with that? Essentially, we look at the compositional characteristics, a lot of organic waste, you have a lot of recyclable waste, a lot of inert waste in the form of inert, like construction demolition waste and other sand-like particles, and others, like whatever. Hello, yeah, is it okay? So I think when you look at the waste management perspective for Bangalore, of course, IAC has been in the forefront of this work, and both of us who have been helping the BSWML with all our background, what we can do. And I've been working with my colleague on we have a project from the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, Office of the PMO. So looking at different issues that we have for different cities in the country, like in Bangalore, PSA is the Professor Sood is from Bangalore, University of Science. He wanted us to look at what is happening to Bangalore. Then, in fact, we know the statistics, like 6,500 tons per day. What could be done? I know it's a challenge, it's a mountain to climb, but there is a hope. Like, in the sense that, we have series of debates with our officers here and other, in fact, I interact closely with the our NGO teams, particularly Hasadala and others, what I just want to say is that when you have so much of organic content, in fact, as pointed out by Dr. Chanakya, of course, composting is one alternative we have been. You see in the Kormangala, which is something a very successful client by the Kormangala Residents Welfare Association. I find it very, very fascinating, and it's amazing. And again, we have so many plants that are working in Bangalore, but again, the right direction maybe is required. That's what I think. Definitely the organic waste, which is a big mountain to climb, and people are working. It's really a good thing, and we see a lot of technologies that are there, and I think a lot of technologies are coming up. And when you talk about the thing is, even the government of India, they're looking at a lot of right. So why are you serious? Polluter has to take responsibility and do something. So polluter pays instrument has come, and the other so we are a little more sensitive to that. And the second thing, recent whatever you call. And now, with the current guidelines that we have, latest guidelines, even the apartment owners are declared as, extended bulk producers, responsible. They're also bulk generators. You're responsible. You're supposed to register in a particular system like EPR. So I think the rules are coming up, and then I know there are a lot of rules that are there. And for plastic waste, we have a lot of techniques that are there. I think again, Bangalore and Institute of Science, they're providing a lot of technologies, and the construction debris waste. I think again, we have a EPR. For that, every builder is supposed to take responsibility. I think there are a lot of options that we have. It's only the thing that we need to. Of course, we also have. I think the first city in the whole of India that solid waste management as a corporation is there, right? So that's also again extended to Bangalore, and we are a part of that. That we should be a corporation similar to water supply and all that. So essentially, we have, I think, we have the right team here and right advisors, I hope, and I think there is a good days to come. But I think actually, this residents groups have to be proactive in this, because I think they are the bulk. There's nothing should go out of them. I have seen some apartment complexes that are doing extremely well, and I think there should be some system of handling that. I hope with our deliberations here, we'll have some good recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. I think there's some positivity that is coming out from your end. And now, Shekhar, from your work on the ground, what challenges do you see that policy and research might have missed?
Hello. Thanks, everyone. An Indian Institute of Science. I think, I keep saying there's actually, Bangalore has the best SWM bylaws in the country. And it's thanks to a lot of people, both in the audience and some of us here. It has always been a challenge of implementation of those bylaws. And implementation is a combination of monitoring compliance, analyzing those who are not complying. And I think somewhere you have lacked the will to be able to do that. So I think that is what is truly necessary. And then there are the, for example, we keep talking about awareness of segregation. I think more than 80% of Bangalore knows the three-way system of Bangalore, to the two bin one bag. But the operations do not support the the resident who is segregating, he sees it mixed when the guy goes and puts it in the auto tipper, and he sees only the high value waste being picked out and put on the bags, right? So you have to have, the optics matter, right? If you're not going to see that it is collected in a segregated manner, how are you going to do it? You know, for example, when we first started, we collected wet and rejects on one trip, dry on another trip with another truck, right? So the optics matter, because then they were confident that that the resident who is taking the trouble of segregating sees that it is going out of their premises also in a segregated manner, right? So it's a simple operations thing which has to match the intent of the policy and the behavior of the resident, right? If those do not align, why would anyone continue segregating at home or at the office, right? I think that is the big, those are the things that we should fix, rather than, you know, it's very easy when something is not going well to blame someone, right? The residents who are not segregating, the collector, the contractor is not coming on an everyday basis. But I think it is only through citizen participation, political and will of implementation, and service providers who are to take that extra step to ensure that your waste is diverted. Right? I think that's all that is required. I keep saying this is not rocket science. You know, waste management is not rocket science. It's very simple, in my opinion. Right? I mean, I'm not saying, sir, that you shouldn't come up with rocket science to manage the waste, but at a very fundamental level, there's nothing major. I mean, 3 streams: wet, dry, and rejects. Now it's going to be 4 streams from April 1st. Special care and sanitary waste is how the rejects is going to be bifurcated. And, you know, and also I think the city, the government, the residents should also, I think, you know, motivate people like us. We have set up a 50-ton per day biogas plant on private land with private funding, because the government would not give us land. For 7 years we tried, right? Completely private. After 3 years of running, we finally turned the corner. We are EBITDA positive this year. And we'll be the first plant, the largest 50-ton per day plant in Karnataka, the first plant to have a working pipeline from the plant to the Gale pipeline. 3 kilometers of pipeline has been laid by Gale. So it is possible. We have demonstrated that it can be done in a financially viable manner. But the fundamental thing, again, I think, since most of you are bulk generators here, please, the polluter pays principle has to hold, because end-to-end waste management because end-to-end waste management across the world is a negative value process. The labor, effort, and money that you put into responsibility will always be higher than the value you get out of processing that waste across the world. Better technology, better yield, better revenue can only subsidize or lessen the payment from a generator. Today in India, I think it is not the ability to pay, but the willingness to pay. In California, it's for 4 days of pickup in a month. Here, people are refusing to pay 100 rupees per month for 30 days of service, 7 days a week. Just imagine the difference. For 4 days, $50. For 30 days, they don't even want to give 100. So, how do we solve this? Right? So, as responsible citizens, I think the only way is to understand what the value chain of waste management is. And wealth out of waste is a myth, in my opinion. There are points in the value chain which can make money, but that's about it. Anyway, I think I've more than answered. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like Archana to throw some light from your learnings, from your on-ground experiences.
Thanks, Arta, and thanks everyone for having me here. Completely echo what Shekhar is saying, because we've been in the sector for so many years, and for citizens, wealth out of waste makes no sense. You don't even have to worry about wealth out of waste. As citizens, I think as Bangalore citizens, we need to demand the right for our waste to be collected at doorstep. Like ma'am was saying, there is incomplete collection coverage. If we can have complete collection coverage, now that user fee has been announced, people are paying a service fee for waste. We need to demand that waste collector comes to our households for pickup. So that's the first thing. And our only duty would then be to give it in segregated manner. So the 3-way segregation or now the 4-way segregation, that is our only duty. So I think it's a beautiful thing that there is a service fee with BBMP and GBA. We are paying a service fee. We need to get engaged enough to demand that the waste collector comes to my house instead of just going and throwing it somewhere else. And we don't really need AI or anything else. Through our fieldwork, we have seen once people are trained and they are a little bit aware about what to put in which bin, 80% people are okay to segregate and hand over their waste as long as the collector comes and picks it up at the right time. They know when the collector is coming. People are okay to segregate and give. So one of the things we hear from people that segregation is the biggest problem. People don't segregate. I think in our experience, and especially with societies, it is very easy to implement waste segregation. And that alone would, I think, solve a lot of problems for waste processors and collectors. The second thing, of course, would be reduction, but that's the next step. First thing is that as citizens, if we can segregate, not worry about whether somebody is making money out of it or not making money out of it. Follow your duty, follow the rules, give it in 4 ways and not throw it here. I think, and it's very much possible.
We always get to hear negative things about segregation, but this is a very interesting insight. And we are moving on. We are going to do some deep diving. So that each, the government, the academia, and the private sector will be given questions separately. I would like you to keep the answers a little more precise, because we are already half an hour into the session and we have a lot of questions to go. We have a lot of ground to cover still. Once again, I'll start with Rama ma'am. Yeah, this is going to be about technologies, linked workers, segregation compliance, of course. What technologies are currently used to manage and process different categories of waste, ma'am, including mixed waste? And what are the challenges?
Okay, so let me go waste stream wise. Wet waste, we send it to composting plants, biomet plants or biogas plants. Also there are lane composters and all done by some volunteers in certain places. So that is also decentralized manner of waste, wet waste management. Dry waste basically goes into the dry waste collection centers, which are there in most of the wards in the city. And from there is recycling as well as authorized recyclers who are picking it from the DWCs. Plastic, the low-value plastics are lined up into the waste-to-energy plant. There's one in Bidadi, which has a capacity of taking in about 600 tons per day. So we are sending it there. And also, since we have excess of dry waste, if you break up 6,500, there is 35% of dry waste. So this remaining dry waste, which is excess over and above going to DWCC and the WTE plant, we are now having a tie-up with the cement factories and trying to get APR out of that. That is about the dry waste. Thirdly, we have the sandy waste. So sandy waste, we have vendors like Maridi and so on. They separately collect the sandy waste, from the DWCCs, which is brought in by our auto tippers, and from the DWCCs then for incineration. For the animal and bone waste, we again have empaneled vendors. They collect it directly from the shops, and these are incinerated or they are going to the rendering plants. Now we are trying to have our own rendering plant in Yelahanka shortly.
So the Kogilo case that you are all aware of, that is the place where the rendering plant is going to come. So we're going to have our in-house facility. Then coming to the C&D waste, construction and demolition waste, we have 2 PPP plants which each cater to about 1,750 tons. Unfortunately, most of the citizens are not making use of it. Please make use of that. We are also tendering more. We are going to have 4 more plants and 3 more packages just for the collection and transportation of the generated collection and demolition waste. I think that answers your question.
My next question is about link workers and community engagement. Okay, considering the ongoing need for segregation awareness, are there any plans to revive the link worker programs or similar community engagement initiatives for SWM in Bangalore?
Yes, definitely. Like we have link workers for a long time now and they're continuing. In fact, 6 months ago, GBA did not want them, and that was when we proposed that we want them on the board. So they have been transferred. We have about 280 link workers. They're supposed to be 2 per ward. We used to have earlier 198 wards, and now it's 369. So to fill the gap, we are also thanks to the Swachh Bharat Mission IEC activities, we have funds to bring in community mobilizers. So just 3 days back, I had an interview with all the candidates. About 200 people will be onboarded shortly. They are basics, okay? They just have to have a 10th pass certificate, no working knowledge in Kannada, and of course, preferable would be already having experience in this. So with all these earlier existing 280 link workers and now that we are onboarding the community mobilizers, we are trying to put in at least 1 in each of the wards, and many of the wards which are challenging, we will have more than 1. 2 is the maximum limit and 1 is the minimum. So all these link workers would be there, and we intend to have a very robust IEC activity in the sense that each person, they are all ladies, and they would be going behind each auto tipper. Like if in a ward there are 20 autos and 2 link workers, they will be assigned 10 auto tippers each, and each one will go for the next 10 days to 1 auto tipper on a day and cover all the households that the auto tipper is covering for 2 things. One is to ensure that 100% door-to-door collection is happening, and secondly to ensure that the citizens are giving segregated waste. In case they are not giving, there will be one-to-one interaction right over there, and if it's not actually materializing after a few months, it would be followed up with our marshals coming and putting fines. Yeah, so that's about the community mobilization.
Just 2 link workers per ward. Is that sufficient, ma'am? Because wards like Rajarajeshwari Nagar, they're so huge, they're humongous. How are they going to...
Rajarajeshwari Nagar is 1 division that is broken. Okay, so now we have 27 assembly constituencies in Bangalore. That's called a division. Now in 1 division, there are 15 to 20 wards. 1 ward would have about, now at present, looking at the 198 wards, we can say the population is around 4,000 to 15,000. So for that population, we are having 2.
Thank you for the clarification, ma'am. The next question goes to the academia. The topic is decentralized solutions by apartment size. Professor Babu, what circularity and decentralized technologies can apartments adopt, and how does this vary based on their size, and what works for a 50-unit complex versus a 500-unit or a 1,000-unit tower?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. This decentralization is essential at apartment level, complex levels, because definitely one thing that I also, the moment you said apartment complex, it also helps us to quantify things. When you're trying to, when the quantifying the total amount of waste, whatever you have, the biodegradables, the plastics and all of that, it gives an opportunity for apartments to scale up the things. And once you know what kind of waste you have, definitely depending on the units that you have, you can design the plan, like biogas plants or recycling units or anything that you want. Even you can come up with new interesting it is I know about 1,000 apartments is an experimental plot for us.
So it's, I think, a lot of innovation. It enables a lot of innovation, and such that nothing comes out of that, you know. And then you may even, I mean, of course, the wealth from waste is not a, we don't want that, but still, you know, whatever circularity you're talking about, you know, the circularity is essentially that we are trying to, you know, understand what is circular, what can be really recycled, and all of that, and to what extent it can be recycled, right? And what do you get out of it? You know, essentially, I don't want anything to go waste. That's our primary objective in the circular economy, right? So you need to really, that gives an opportunity for all of us, you know, to look into that. And I know the most important thing is maintenance cost comes down. You should be able to see that, okay, I don't want to pay any maintenance costs. What should I do? You know, you can work back and see what can be done. You know, so essentially, it really makes you better citizens and model citizens and all of that. I think it's a great opportunity to explore all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Technology is one lever. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry for adding something, because you raised the issue of circularity. When we wrote these solid waste management rules in 1995, which came out as 2000, one of the key points is, if you look at solid waste, or at least the wet waste, that is a part of our food chain. It is raised in the field, a part of it we consume, and a part of it is thrown out. So it has a lot of nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus. So our law, we press that it should go back into the land from which this was. So you maintain that circularity. So and if you do the same thing with the sewage also, which the government is now the NGT itself is now asking why we are not recycling the nutrients in the sewage also. So then we will have reasonably good circularity of the solid waste and the liquid waste. The liquid waste part is emerging, but the solid waste is already in place. Same thing with the, when we wrote the plastic waste management rules, at least you recycle so that there is a industrial type of circularity. It is not exactly circular, it is a sort of helix. After 3 or 4 recycles, it is supposed to go back as fuel. So there is a pseudo-circularity in that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Of course, technology is one lever and behavior is completely quite another issue, right? So I'm coming back to one of the questions that I really want to have answers for myself. That is, how can models, particularly those using behavioral science and AI-driven sorting, be applied to significantly improve segregation?
Oh my God, that's a tough question. Okay. Yeah. See, one of the first part of circularity is that when we segregate it, it can go back to a reasonably high level of reuse. We talked about the PET bottles that Mr. Srinivasulu talked about that. So how it becomes possible. Now, various people are trying to do this segregation with various forms of image processing, artificial intelligence, and computer-aided mechanotronics. But so far, it has been successful in vegetables, in fruits, in grading fruits, in coffee processing. But I have evaluated maybe about 5 to 10 projects in all. But most of them are using such high computing power and still not able to segregate. Now the behavior part comes. Perhaps sometimes I also would do that to confuse the person who, whether it's a wet waste or dry waste. I'll put curd rice into a plastic packet and then dispose it. How many of you have not done it? Nobody, huh? Oh, okay. Okay. No, okay. No. What I'm trying to tell you is that we all make these mistakes, and artificial intelligence, unfortunately, is not able to, we're still not at that point where such rapid image processing, using a huge system of knowledge, and then within a few microseconds, it says, okay, this is where it's supposed to go where. This has not been successful in at least about 8 to 10 projects that I have seen. Huh? So it is. Yeah. and it has not happened. But maybe we can hope it can happen, but the better option is to segregate it home because you're sure of success.
Okay, yes, we are hearing AI everywhere, as writers, whether you are, no matter which sector you are in, it has been, at least from my perspective, quite quite an encumbrance right now. So, yeah, now the next one would be environmental impact and landfill remediation. Professor Babu, this is your area of expertise. What is the actual environmental and climate impact of waste and landfills in Bangalore? Could you please quantify it for us? And our existing landfills, are there any viable solutions for cleaning them up or converting that legacy waste into at least some value, if not, some wealth that we are talking about?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Apart from the existing waste that we have per day, we get some 6,500 tons. But what happens to our legacy waste? We have a lot of dump sites in Bangalore, 300 acres of dump sites, 300 acres, square feet of, in Bangalore, it costs some 10,000 rupees. But you have 300 acres of dump sites, not just dump sites, it's a contaminated land, right? It's not just, then what about the air pollution there? It's a lot of methane emissions. So, the thing is, if you have those black spots, a big black spot, it's not a small one, it's a very big, dump sites. I think in India, it's quite, they are there everywhere. So, the challenge that we have is, yes, of course, there are some rules that Government of India has come out, whatever we call it as biomining. They're doing it in Mandur site, where they're trying to see that 100 or 130 acres of, that site, they're trying to reclaim the site, right? So of course, that I think every municipality in Government of India, they're doing it. And there are also in certain sites in Belhalli and many other places where we're trying to, remove the, there are a lot of leachate, a lot of methane gas already present. We're trying to remove that and see that, so that, that 300 acres, the thing is, one problem that we have is that, because if you don't have proper waste management, it has a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, like so much of greenhouse gas emissions, and it leads to temperature rises, climate change effects. There are so many things that we have. We don't want such things. And so if you do the solid waste management properly at apartment level, and so that the total burden comes down, and the remediation is an important process. I think, they have, in fact, we have been working with, closely, I've been working with them on remediating some sites in Bangalore, where, they should become livable. They should become, parks, remove, see, they're going to affect the groundwater, they're going to affect the airspace, the soil is contaminated, all of that needs to be remediated. And there are some process in place, and even rules also came very recently. They're being revised continuously, but it's a work in progress, because the current, the focus is on existing. You already have 6,500 tons per day, and legacy waste is also there. So we're trying to handle both with reasonable success. That's what I can say. But I think they have a lot of effects, because methane, if you just, because the degradation process, right? All of these materials undergo degradation. They really emit, methane and all of that. Degradation emits a lot of polluting gases. All of that is there. So our effort should be to see that doesn't happen by proper waste management, and also look at, possible options for remediation. Yeah.
So that means whatever remediation we are talking about, that has to begin at home with source segregation. All this while it was 3 ways, now it's going to be 4 ways. So when we talk about climate, it opens up economic opportunity. Dr. Chanakya, this is about carbon credits for apartments. Again, the new SWM rules 2026 encourage urban local bodies to participate in carbon markets. How can local bodies and bulk waste generators, like large apartment complexes, move towards carbon monetization? What is the pathway from theory to bankable reality?
I'll answer it in the reverse order. I think bankable reality is a long way to come. Although, to state the fact that, especially in the area of biomethanation, where the Satat rule has come, and along with it, the FCO order that you can reuse that liquid waste as well as the solid waste, fermented solid waste as fermented organic manure and liquid fermented organic manure. A lot of policy effort has been pushed by various groups in our country. So it has the policy framework has now become easy. And also when you can make biogas in your place, sweeten it, that is remove the carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide and water vapor, and you can also sell it as bio-CNG. So this kind of facilitation has happened. Now, when you talk about monetization, the problem is when you look at a small apartment, where up to 100, then the extent, most of the time in all these apartments, the waste management is a fix after everybody has occupied and started finding that there is a problem. So had you planned it, more of the recent apartments actually have planned for these, and they are doing well because they have allocated space for solid waste management, as Mr. Srinivasulu was talking about. That is now becoming a part of their SIEA clearance. So there you are allocating space, and there you are talking about making methane. So as Professor Babu was saying, had you put it into the landfill, so much of methane would have been produced. It has a carbon footprint. Now, the apartment can show that since I am making biomethanation and I'm reusing it on site, either into the clubhouse or you want to sell it as bio-CNG, depending on how business-minded you are, you're already showing that you have reduced your carbon footprint. So there is a carbon credit that you can claim. And this approach has been there for almost 25 years, but it has not been implemented at the apartment level. At the city level, now when Chennai has started moving into using electric vehicles for collection. Okay, don't ask how the footprint of the electricity, but assume that if you had made biomethanation, you had generated powers from solar or other green waste, and you purchased green power, then now you are offsetting a whole lot of carbon emissions, and therefore you can generate carbon credits. And similarly, when we are reusing plastics for different purposes, offsetting the original extent of, say, the original petroleum primary product input, again you are avoiding carbon emission. So this again gets added on. So like this, in this kind of circularity, there is a part where carbon emission is avoided, and net negative carbon emission is also done. So you can generate your credits, and I think Shwetmala is also attempting to make a tool on how do you create your carbon footprint, and many people are doing, not just across the country. So it becomes easy to calculate what is your carbon footprint, how much of CO2 emission you're avoided, and therefore how much of emission credits you can claim. But actually getting the credit money into your hand is a very different story, and I'm not going to talk about it.
I'll just add to what Professor Chanakya was saying, that we did carbon assessment for one of the biogas units. So technically it is possible to get carbon credits, but for small systems, like even for a 8-ton which we did, the cost involved in doing the validation, verification, putting it up on the registry, the cost was very high versus the credits that you get. So at a city level, it makes sense because city has more than 100 tons, 1,000 tons of biomass or composting. But for apartment level, I think we should not think about it because the whole process is very technical. The agencies charge a lot of money. There are registries where you have to register. And the amount of credit that you get will not be worth the whole effort. So technically possible, but practically currently not possible.
That's quite a clarity, because I thought we would be moving into even every 50 unit or even 200 unit apartments would be able to claim some carbon credits. No. I have the fifth question is going to be the last one for the academia, and I would like either one of you to take up this question, sir. This is about the construction debris and e-waste. Projections show construction debris and e-waste will double by 2030 due to Bangalore's urban growth, of course. What critical long-term research is needed to develop effective management strategies for these challenging waste streams?
First thing is about the construction and demolition waste. Rules are very clear, you know, from Indian Roads Congress or many agencies, the rules are very clear how they can be used in road construction. You know, in Bangalore, you see a lot of white topping going on. You don't need white topping, I know, in some places, but it's you can really use construction in that. Instead of concrete, you can use the sand and aggregate. You can get from C&D waste itself. You don't need a fresh, destroy a hill and then make it aggregate. That was the thing. I think rules are very clear that and then the recent rule that came about 6 months back on similar to polluter pays, the EPR, extended producer responsibility, on all the major builders. Actually, we have to impose on them, all the big builders. And I'm sorry that when Madam said that we don't have a lot of construction waste, please bring it. She was mentioning it's a very sad state of affairs. We know that. So again, the quantification is easy here. We know that quantification is easy. You know how much of buildings are coming up and how much of those. So people have to be made accountable. Builders, even anybody else. Anything. If you can't dump it on the on the gutters. So it is important that C&D management has to be effective because it's 100% recyclable. Nothing is, you're actually, in making the construction, you're destroying a lot of natural material, but then, you're throwing all the waste. So, in principle, all that material, what is there in C&D is 100% recyclable, and it should be mandated, Particularly, you should be taking a strict, I'm sure, enforcement. That's where I see, when you're not getting, it's sure that enforcement is not strong. The second thing, the E&D waste, I see the kind of enforcement that still we have is not really great. Why because I think there is a policy document already. Recently, yesterday I was seeing from the Niti Aayog, okay? Niti Aayog is a nodal agency, which we all know, that they develop policy documents on how do you bring in circularity in, say for example, in this plastic waste management or even this e-waste management. I was going through the document. All the electronics parts are they're all costly metals, silicon, and all the metals that are there, they're 100% recyclable. Again, but then even there are clear stories which clearly tell you that, instead of, say, for example, if you want 1 ton of 1 kg of a certain material, you need 10 tons of virgin material to be removed. So you're trying to really directly remove the metal directly rather than, like doing all the mining for materials. So in fact, they were able to clearly show that just recovering metals from E&D waste is much more profitable than doing for all the, mining and all that. So I think that also needs a lot of, enforcement. And what is happening, we know that in Whitefield, people are, poor labor are doing, it's again a very, very strict thing. And it is again again accountable. It's very clear that, you can, all these two segments, you're able to, you can quantify them properly. Input, output, and all of that. And if that cycle is clearly done, you'll know exactly, and you can move towards better management. That's what I feel.
Thank you for those academic insights to both professors. It shows what is possible. Now, let's discuss a couple of questions with our social entrepreneurs about what actually works on the ground. You have, Archana, already mentioned how you're able to ensure compliance from societies, provided there are some systems in place. Let's move on to specific ways. That is, what approaches or models assist in better segregation and disposal, especially for e-waste, battery waste, medicines, bulky waste, e-commerce packaging. And what behavioral nudges have actually worked according to you, to ensure efficient segregation at source?
Yeah, so like Sir was saying, C&D is recyclable 100%. E-waste is recyclable, but it also has hazardous components which need to be handled properly, and that's why doing it informally is not the right thing. But the biggest problem with these recyclers is availability of that material, especially from the domestic generators. So people living in apartments, we generate a small amount of e-waste. We do renovations, we generate small amount of C&D waste. Now for us, it's not possible to take it away to the two facilities which have been set up very far away because it costs a lot. So for at least the domestic e-waste, the medicine waste, the C&D waste, some kind of collection points are required because the logistics will not work out if an entrepreneur has to go and collect from each house at different times. So either collection centers, and that is something that Sahas had tried, that we provided collection services for e-waste, and then we have handed it over to an entrepreneur, where you have, at least you know that in this road there are 10 societies, and those 10 societies have e-waste drop boxes, and they know that once a month somebody will come and pick it up. So then there will be volumes and the logistics will be reduced. So it's a question of volumes and logistics. So for bulk waste, I mean, when we say bulk waste here, we are talking to residential societies. If at, like I think the KSPCB person was saying, if you can identify an entrepreneur and have drop boxes which service maybe 10 societies or 20 societies in a small area, collection is possible and it will work out also. And yes, sir. And similarly for medicine, of course, nothing can happen. They have to be collected and they have to go to the safe disposal, TSDF kind of facilities. But again, they have to be stored separately. So again, societies, residential societies need to plan spaces for waste management right at the time of construction. You need to think that these are places, these are waste that will get generated. I need to have bin for medicine. I might need to have bin for e-waste. I don't need a bin for C&D, but I need a collection center in the ward where we can go and drop the C&D waste. Because the logistics is difficult if it is a distributed kind of system. In terms of source segregation, we have seen that because bulk waste generators, residential societies have housekeeping and strict monitoring. It is very difficult for somebody in a residential society where there is a rule for three-way segregation, somebody keeping a mixed waste outside their house, you know, because the housekeeping will not pick it up. Whereas in an open layout, that doesn't happen. So in residential societies, I think enforcement is the only way. While, as Shekhar was saying, there's awareness, I think there is still a lack of sensitization. We still don't think too much about the waste that we generate. And one of the things that we are trying to do is build a better connect with our waste through sensitizing people that what happens to your waste and can we start reducing our waste. So if societies can start adopting models like having a cutlery bank where they borrow steel items for all their events. If our parties and functions can be without single-use items like balloons, can we use reusable decorations made of used fabric? So I think while awareness how to segregate three-way, four-way can be given, sensitization is a bigger thing, and that needs all of us to come together because finally we do a lot of things for our future generations, and this is also something that we need to do for our future generations. So building this narrative of how management of waste actually affects our health, the health of our future generations. So these narratives, I think if we are able to build stronger in residential societies where we think it is easier to do, I think it will be much better for the city. The burden on the city will reduce and the burden on the land and air water pollution will reduce. Yeah. But you had some point.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say that we need to encourage the reuse of the plastic waste materials or even the construction waste materials. Like, you know, for example, we say that somewhere, you know, in the plastic waste itself, that this has 20% recycled material. You can see that, you know, abroad if you go, that it's very clear that, you know, if your BBMP or somebody is giving it some guidelines, you can clearly tell them that you have to use 20% at least recycled material, you know, like that. And in fact, for example, in cement industry, to the extent of 50% fly ash can be used. Fly ash was considered waste material earlier. Now we are using to the extent of 50% without loss of any functionality. And even the construction C&D waste, you can use for road construction, compound wall construction, you can really impose those things, strict rules, because it's easy to implement, and builders can do that. Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to, from segregation, we want to move on to integration for informal workforce. Shekhar, you have called waste pickers the city's invisible climate mitigators. That's a powerful framing. And you champion inclusive circularity. What does that actually mean for apartments waste generators? How can apartments integrate waste pickers into their systems in ways that ensure both dignity and efficiency while prioritizing actual diversion from landfills?
So yeah, I mean, as a company and as a not-for-profit as well, our focus has always been the community of waste pickers and the informal sector players. So because they know waste best, we are in waste management. We did not choose to be in waste management. We chose to be with waste pickers. So inclusive circularity for us is the planned and deliberate inclusion of waste pickers and informal waste sector players as an integral part of the evolving circular economy. So they've always been circular, right? What does a waste picker do? She picks up anything which is of value, sorts it to some level of categorization, and sells it to the nearest scrap dealer, right? So she is actually the one who provided value to that waste. Otherwise, it would continue to be waste. Someone did not collect and sort, it would continue to be waste. The value addition happens because of our effort, because of our knowledge of what can be recycled and therefore has a tradable value, right? But for us, when you look ahead, for example, Rama ma'am was saying that we need to get to 100% door-to-door collection. Now, if we get to 100% door-to-door collection, and like Indore, for example, has managed it, there'll be no litter on the streets. So access to waste for the waste pickers will stop, right? Because there'll be no litter, there'll be no black spots, there'll be no landfills if you're all doing it great. So how do we actually support their livelihood for the next 15, 20 years? Because we've already broken the cycle of cross-generational occupation. All waste pickers' children actually taken out for their kids to be till the 10th. So, so the idea is when you have someone come and pick up your waste, you have to realize that all the time we keep talking of the material, the food waste or the plastic waste, and that coming back into the economy. We never talk about the people who make it happen. I would actually encourage all of you to come on a waste trail with us. We do this, where you can come and see what it takes to, even after you have segregated your wet, dry, and thing, what it takes to manage that waste on the ground. Dry waste has to finally be sorted into 176 categories before it can be recycled. Imagine the effort, the knowledge, the expertise that is required for that waste to actually become a resource. In India, we acclaim high recycling rates. It's always been because of waste pickers and the informal waste sector. Even today, 90% of your recyclables are managed from collection, sorting, baling, before it goes to an authorized recycler by the informal waste sector. All right, so all that we are asking of you is to work with companies, work with organizations that actually put them at the center of what they're doing, right? Because without them, your place would have been a stinking hell. So let's actually acknowledge what they're doing and provide the value from collection to it going to the recycling, which partly is what happens when you pay a fee, a service fee, right? So it's all about think of the people as well who have been doing it for generations. Can we support them for the next 15, 20 years? when all of us, hopefully all of India, will actually be managing waste well, with no littering and so on. So that's.
Thank you, Shekhar. From collection, segregation to conversion, there is one burning question that's bothering all of us. There are quite a few apartments in Bangalore, including mine, which have been generating high quality compost, but we are finding it very difficult to find buyers. Okay, I wanted to know if there is a way to create viable markets. One thing. Secondly, can this be integrated into BSWML's online portal or mobile app, something like that, something to keep this compost? Our idea is to take the biomass back. Back to the soil. How can we make this possible? Who can answer this question, please?
If nobody else, then I'll have to answer it. So what we have for the compost that we produce in our plants is there is KCDC, Karnataka Compost Development Corporation, so which handles the compost from all the 7 plants, and it sells it. It gives it in subsidy to the farmers. The apartments, of course, have smaller quantities of compost, but if you can tie up, have some facilities. Now, of course, this is the age of digital marketing. So there are so many agri financial startups which actually can be explored. But before that, the first step would be to assess the quality of the compost that you produce. If you have certificate, then you can as well approach the agriculture or horticulture department, because they are also the 26 rules as well mandate that they promote home composting. So they should be able to give you guidelines and get your compost, into the market, into the markets. Other than that, as you say, this is an open thinking. So we are shortly launching our website, and we will have different categories of waste and the recyclers, all of those aggregates there. So that is when probably there can be an open exchange of such compost, including compost. We can do that.
Yeah, thank you. This also opens up a beautiful venture that you can become aggregators and do some digital marketing, almost like the Ola app. You find the nearest person who has got the compost, nearest person who wants it. I am trying to get compost. I have not gone because they will sell me only a ton, and I don't need a ton. That's on the lighter way. I also need compost. I don't know where to get it. So there is an open market, and especially for small-time aggregators, at least in a world-wise, is a beautiful business opportunity. I think this will open up that option.
I had one more question for our private sector on waste to wealth. Since Shekhar has already debunked it, I'm not going into it. So this is the last question. I would like the audience to be a little more patient. I'm going to reverse the order now. Starting from the private sector first. Is zero waste living realistic in a city like Bangalore? 15 million people, 6,500 tons daily.
We live with the hope that it is possible. If not zero waste, at least low waste living is certainly possible. If we can manage our wet waste at our homes, reduce the dry waste that we are generating, adopt reusable, sustainable menstruation, reusable diapers, I think low waste living is certainly possible.
I think zero waste, even as a concept, is not about zero kind of waste. It is as minimal as possible, and I think it is highly doable today, right? I mean, for example, on Zomato, you can set a thing saying "Do not send utensils." On Zepto, you can say "Don't send a paper bag," right? And set it once. You think so. There are always opportunities for each one of us, either as an individual or as a group or as a community, to actually look for opportunities where we don't have to generate waste, right? For example, if you're having an event like a wedding, please use plate banks. There are people we can actually get you 5,000 plates and tumblers if you want, give you a washing service with natural cleaners, everything, right? So it is possible, but you need to just be sensitive that the reason I'm doing it is not to add to the problem, but to subtract from the problem. And I think it's possible.
Yeah, thank you. To add to that, where his ideas does not work, then I'm talking on the lighter side of it. Thank you. And you are forced to use a single-use material. I think the science and technology system is now slowly bringing in a pulp-based, bagasse-based, pulp-based containers, whether it's for the pizza delivery, whether it's for the lunch packet, along with a thin layer of biodegradable plastic, polylactic acid based. So all of it can either be composted or can be converted to biogas. So we'll come closer to no footprint living rather than zero waste as such.
I think actually in the hierarchy, the waste minimization, reducing, waste minimization is a big subject. And somehow, we are not really looking at that option. I was just going through certain literature on waste minimization alone, where what kind of, say for example, textile waste, like you have use and throw culture, right, most of the time. And even the textile waste is something that is very complex, and in fact we had a discussion that not much is being done, but the kind of fabrics that we have, it was very tricky. So we need to really look at reusability, as a principle, because you have thin plastics, no, it can't be used. So thick plastics can be reused. So it should really get into some understanding of the whole process of waste minimization. And that can really contribute a lot more. What are all the techniques? Maybe somebody should list out, like he was just mentioning, that the reuse of plates in a marriage ceremony or many things. One should really, like particularly in apartments, where many people live, they must really list out how can they, contribute to waste minimization from, say, 1,000 apartments there. That's my submission.
So I think I'll just consolidate what everyone said. It's basically RRR, reduce, reuse, and recycle. That's what we are all trying to profess here. So try to be minimalistic, reuse whatever you can. And in fact, most of these food chains now, like for example, H&M or Bath and Body and all, their containers, if they have a counter there in their store, and you can just put the empty shampoo bottles or used clothes over there, and you get a coupon which you can get a discount on your next purchase. So these kind of things are coming up. Earlier we had these big bazaars where the newspapers could be got for some money. So these kind of things are starting in these the companies, okay, individual companies. If you just accumulate all the different kinds of bottles and throw, as sir was saying earlier, the principal secretary sir, it fetches you hardly 5 rupees. But if you have that specific company bottle and you go and deposit back, it's worth much more. So I would say please follow the RRR cycle. The short-term goals would be to just start your segregation. That I think is the takeaway point for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, I think in the whole discourse we have missed repair, because repair is also a big thing that we need to start working on. Life extension through repair, think before you throw. So that's again in the part of RRR, repair and life extension are very important. And they also give livelihoods to people, so it also adds to the economy.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. That brings us to the end of this insightful panel discussion. I'll briefly sum up what has been discussed so far, the kind of wisdom that we have gained here. Of course, Bangalore's waste challenge is not a simple puzzle with a single solution. It's an intricate tapestry woven into the threads of policy, economics, technology, human behavior, and social justice, right? So the new SWM rules, they do offer as a framework, a kind of a skeleton. But if you want to breathe life into that skeleton, of course, we need all these, some sort of orchestration from all these dimensions that I mentioned. So it's going to be a symphony, never a solo performance, right? Secondly, we have realized that the solutions exist. Of course, we have good examples of apartments doing composting. That is one of the solutions that I'm talking about. So these are no more distant dreams. They were back in 2011-12 when I myself was looking for a solution for my apartment, composting solution. There was a lot of struggle, but now we have quite a few solutions, and they are not fantasies anymore. And secondly, we are also talking about, we have even proved that waste picker integration is with dignity is possible, and we are even talking about carbon credits and digital systems. Of course, that's going to take a long time before it becomes reality at the ground level. But what is it that is lacking? Basically, we are lacking the will to implement, as Shekhar mentioned right at the beginning, right? We are lacking the resources to scale. We are lacking the persistence to sustain this particular activity. So these are the challenges of commitment, not capability. And our panel today has amply demonstrated that point, right? And the third and the most crucial point is that to every RWA member, every apartment complex member, and if there is any facility manager here, there is one point that we need to take away. That is that we can't delegate this responsibility to anybody else. Our waste has to be our responsibility, and if we want to achieve circularity, that is not going to be possible with individual brilliance. It calls for collective wisdom and collective activism, right? So, yes, of course, I agree with Dr. Chanakya that artificial intelligence is not going to, at least in near future, is not going to solve the problem. We still have to put both our hands to work and do the segregation. I really don't understand why there is such a colossal resistance to segregation, because it hardly takes a few days of work, and later on your muscle memory will work, right? So let's remember that this dialogue doesn't end here. The Science for Sustainable Urban Living will continue to illuminate the challenges and opportunities shaping our city's future. And to Ramamani ma'am, and to Dr. Shivkumar Babu, Dr. Chanakya, Shekhar and Archana, thank you for your time, your presence, your expertise, your candor, and the depth of your commitment for the beautiful city of Bangalore to make it even greener. And to everyone gathered here today. Yes, it is a Saturday, but still you came, and that shows how committed you are to solving this problem. Thank you for your presence, your attention, your engagement, and more importantly, thank you in advance for all the sensible and sustainable choices you are going to make today, including me, if you haven't already, okay? Because in these small, everyday choices that we make, the seed of transformation lives. Thank you, everyone. And we move on to questions and reflections now.
Thank you, ma'am. We have received a lot of questions from the audience. Just as we serve through the questions, Q-Shala will take over for a 10-minute interactive session, and then we'll have a Q&A session. Thank you.
You want me to take it anyway? I have a video of 15 minutes. I'll check it when there is one question on apartments generating tons of wet waste daily. Why are our local organic farmers not part of this system? That is the question. Apartments generate tons of wet waste daily. Why are organic local farmers not part of this system? So I think this is about the compost that is being generated and why it is not reaching the farms. Is that the question? Yes.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think if you have done agriculture, you will understand that a farmer needs compost perhaps in the month of April and May when they start their cropping, and for the rest of the time you have to keep your compost with you. And that has been the major problem with KCDC or also with the BBMP, that the compost piles stock, and suddenly when the season comes, everybody wants to take it up. And the compost quality keeps going down with time. It's not going to be the same throughout the year. So this is a slightly problematic issue. And when a farmer wants, he wants per hectare about 12 tons of compost under ideal conditions. If he's a vegetable grower or a fruit grower, which apartment can give 12 tons of compost? So this is why that linkage has not come. But to Malyaji, if you can create that app and create an aggregator, I think we are in business on it.
I would also like to add, we are currently running, as part of SWMRT, Solid Waste Management Roundtable, we are running a campaign called Satyagraha Compost Connect, where so far we have been able to facilitate the sale of close to 600 tons of good quality compost. And it has already reached farmland, terrace gardens, and whoever else wanted to buy. And there has been just only one complaint so far, because that particular compost came from that stupid glorified incinerator called 24-hour composter. But otherwise, we have not had any complaint from farmers. We already have producers and buyers in one WhatsApp group. What we need is some kind of a push. We need support to take that campaign forward. Okay, I would like to get in touch with the officials, experts involved, to make sure that the campaign runs on. So next question would be, what are the existing bylaws and penalties related to garbage segregation, which the apartment associations can impose on residents if they fail to segregate waste at source? Somebody is trying to penalize their own.
So BBMP bylaws are there. In 2020 it was published, and there are a lot of clauses for penalties. And we have marshals in our wards. Each ward has a marshal. And the marshals and the JHIs, the junior health inspectors, have the POS machines and their levying charges. But specifically for the apartment, you can always get in touch with our marshals. They would be ready to coordinate. Thank you.
Yes, one more question, ma'am. What will be the role of BSWML in the post-GBA Bangalore?
GBA came into effect in September, and we as a company are taking care of the collection, transportation, processing and disposal of waste. This is what is our mandate.
There is this question, why can't every community have a common compost bin? If waste is sorted at the source, it is way easier to manage. I think this is about in-situ composting only.
Yeah, so when we say why can't, of course it can, provided there is space available. There are now different technologies of composters. So it is certainly possible to have on-site composting in most of the societies. At least the newer ones can plan for it. Other thing that I want to point out is I think Bangalore has the maximum number of designers of composters, the vendors. And if there is volumes, I think the cost becomes less. So if more and more people start adopting on-site composting, the cost of the composters will reduce, the technology will improve. So like any other technology, with scale, the technology will improve. So very much possible and need of the hour also.
It is possible. Many communities are doing it. There are many innovators. There are many vendors. One of our sponsors, Stone Soup, they have Aditi Composter. And there are many such vendors. All you need to do is look for solutions. Solutions are there. They exist. All you need to do is to have the will to... Yeah, it will help. If more people buy composters, then more innovations are going to happen. Fine-tuning is possible only when we get feedback from customers. Next, there is a very interesting question. We are mopping the spills. How can we close the taps?
That's a good one, which is, goes back to, if you really look at the principles of circular economy, it actually is, how can you design out waste, just like you design in the product's capabilities, right? For example, why should a Duracell 2-cell one have a packaging which is 20 times the area of those two batteries, right? So there is a lot of, so just like you said, first do not spill. So actually, through circularity, the needle is going to move not through recycling, not through better waste management, but from rethinking design to eliminate waste, to improve repairability, to improve refurbishability and remanufacturability. Recycle actually has to be the very last option. And unfortunately, right now, the powers that we have made recycling to be the panacea for getting to circularity. So yes, we should not. Which is why I said a simple thing like in Zomato, say no to plastic cutlery. Right? You're not spilling them. So that's I think what we need to do.
Does it help if apartments segregate textile waste? I think I'll transfer that question to Archana.
Has also done some work on that. So it might help. Today, the technology for recycling doesn't exist. There are very few recyclers, maybe in Panipat, who recycle, and that too very specific types of, white cotton or something, because our material is so mixed. What can help if we keep textile waste separately, maybe swap will be possible, maybe second-hand sale will be possible. And the textile coming along with the dry waste gets dirty, it will not get dirty. So I think there is some merit in that, but recycling, I think it is still not possible to do with the kind of textile that we are getting. It's still not a profitable venture, but maybe Shekhar wants to add to that because you're working on textile waste.
So, no, definitely, textile waste, especially if it's not torn, if it's not dirty, if you just give it to us washed, I think there is about up to 20% can be resold either as is or repaired and resold, right? Then there is solid colors and dominant cotton, dominant polyester, dominant nylon, which is basically 90% plus of that yarn. It's possible. But there is a 50% of the waste that you would give us, or clothes that you're no longer using that you would give us, which is right now sitting in warehouses. Because it's multi-yarn or multicolored or lots of disruptors like embroidery or sequins or stuff like that, zippers. So the challenge is in that 50%. But I still feel that so we have both Sahas and Hasrudala today have the possibility of, if you do it at your apartment level, we can come and pick it up and ensure that at least 50% something is done with it. But this is where information is so useful. After I got to learn this a few years ago, I buy only 100% cotton now because of and only solid colors. I no longer buy checks and stripes. So this is where information, knowing what happens after you discard, can also help you change your own decisions and behavior.
Just one of the things that we found while working in low-income areas is a lot of textile waste comes from low-income areas. And that is because most of us hand-me-down, we give our clothes to our domestic helps thinking they will use, but a lot of times it doesn't fit them and they don't know what to do. So it just comes out as textile waste. So maybe what we could do, if there are a lot of residential societies in a single area, we could set up swap shops. We can display them nicely with dignity so that people who want to come and take them for say 10 rupees, 20 rupees, they can buy them. And it will also be a nice way of, domestic helps taking what they want, not just taking what we are giving them. So we could try swap shops within the societies and within wards maybe. So that is something that we can try.
Thank you, Archana. I'm trying to pick questions which weren't covered during our discussion here. Next question would be the potential of bioplastics in plastic waste management, especially these home compostable bags. Yeah.
Truly compostable bags have not yet come in the market. Most of them are disintegratable thing. So this is where the KSPCB has more or less closed that chapter, unless of course you have
something very written that it is made of polylactic acid or its derivatives, and it can be composted in an industrial composter where it needs a higher temperature to compost. So if you are looking for something like a compostable product, make sure that it has got a certain BIS specifications as to under what composting procedure it will be functional. Otherwise, there are very suspect compostable material in the market. The problem with this particular plastic is only recently the cost has become manageable. Otherwise, it was 4 times, 5 times the cost of polyethylene. So people would mix a little bit of polyethylene and you will end up having actually not compostable material, but that's something that disintegrates into a powder and you think it has composted. And that is the problem. I think this is what he also wanted to say about.
No, actually, it's even more simpler. How do we, I mean, it's taking us so long and so difficult to make people segregated into 3 streams. And then I have to get people like you to understand that something that looks, feels like plastic, no, this one has to go into the wet waste and not into the dry waste. Because when it comes to the dry waste, it's sorters who cannot read those labels which shout that it's compostable, they'll go by feel and put it into an LDPE stream, and therefore it screws up the plastic recycler. So which is why I'm against compostable or biodegradable plastic, because at a very fundamental operational level of managing waste, it will actually cause more problems than solving anything.
The next question, it keeps going down, sorry. Yeah. Citywide CCTV cameras on SWM installed in 2020. Sorry? No, it came. I think I'll complete. Citywide CCTV cams on SWM installed in 2020 but not operational till date. Black spots continue proliferation with irregular street clearances on waste, construction debris, etc. How does BSWML operate with the new GBA corporation in place?
Actually, in fact, a few months back we have installed. We had a case, motor case in Lokaita, and there also this came up, and again we had to division-wise about 5 cameras have been installed, taking into, factoring the cameras which are already put by the police department and the traffic police. So, and now, as you are aware, the new tender is getting finalized, and we are going to have new compartmentalized auto tippers which are going to take care that the waste which is given in a segregated manner is actually transported in a segregated manner. Now these are all going to have GPS inbuilt in the vehicle, so even tracking and all that is taken care. And also the new tender, the High Court directions for the new tender is that we have CCTVs installed in all these strategic places where there are black spots, and there's a centralized monitoring system. So we have created our command and control center at BSWML, and we have a team of marshals sitting there, and they are going to be doing this. So we have already collected, and we're in the process of collecting those strategic places where the CCTV cameras are to be put, and the command center will gradually start taking over the operations of seeing this and trying to capture the vehicle number or the identify. Okay, they are all AI cameras, and so through this we are going to have a control over the black spots.
There's another question for you, ma'am. Why is the execution of BSWML changeover so heavy-handed? 3 days to respond to notices when RWAs are not consulted. BSWML officials strangely only have a common Gmail account for feedback from citizens on its website.
So you can actually give your grievances, feedback, everything through the GBA toll-free number 1533. We also have WhatsApp number 9448 197 197. Very easy number to remember. You can send WhatsApp with the location. You can send a picture of the black spot or whatever other grievance you have, and Our command center now has speed of resolving these issues within 24 hours. Hardly it spills to even 48 hours. If it is about pickup, removal of the garbage and such complaints. If it's a long-term problem, getting more vehicles or something like that, that is something which will take time.
I really don't know who to give this question to. Hunger is my trigger to eat. Thirst is my trigger to drink water. Has the trigger been identified for me to segregate waste? Sir, you will answer.
Maybe do you leave a world for your grandchildren? That should be the trigger. Maybe it's not immediate, but it is, I think, what should not just trigger, what should motivate you to do it?
Yes, no, I think one of the last questions would be, immigration to Bangalore is a big problem. This puts pressure on everything, including SWM. Are any efforts being taken to reverse this trend of immigration to cities? That is out of the scope of this panel discussion, sorry. Yeah, sir, done? Okay. Yes, yeah.
I'm Manjunath. Hello, can you read? I'm Manjunath, founder of SMS Organic Farm, from the farmer side. I see one way urban societies struggling to sell their compost, and other way rural communities struggling to buy compost and selling their produce. You know, trying to find the organic consumers who want to buy. Another way, here urban societies were struggling to sell their compost. So why can't these communities can build a community farming? We already started that. So a group of farmers in one village, one apartment, or one farmer group, one apartment. They can give all their daily needs, how many veggies, fruits, whatever they need. So they can, plan their crop accordingly and deliver it directly there. While returning, the same truck can get all the compost to their farm directly. So there's no results at all. So we have startup, agri startup. There is a German-based company. We are helping us to give us an electric vehicle. We can transport all the veggies to the apartments and get all the correct compost. Whatever. You don't need to do a compost. Directly you can get those compost and directly put in our farm pit and put our desi cow dung on it, because desi cow dung has almost 300 to 500 crore microorganisms. It becomes a 10x to automatically it will become a compost. When you put a small, dug a small out and put it in, every day when collects, you can put it. So it's a very simple solution. And I have a small video on it. If you want to play it, it will be great.
Yes, we both are there in the same WhatsApp group where we are facilitating the sale of compost to farmers and all. We have been successful to some extent, but the experiment of getting, to try to bring together a community and a farmer, I tried with my community, with you as our supplier. The problem is what residents say is we want all kinds of vegetables, which may not be possible for one farmer to grow. That was one problem. And others said, no, we prefer, at least we need a reason to get out of the apartment and we really want to go and shop outside. Ridiculous reasons given, honestly speaking. They don't really see the value of, food grown using, no pesticides or less pesticides. People like me, whoever is into waste management have tried their hand at it. But it's really not easy to convince all the people in an apartment, not even to segregate. Segregate, Only some people do, not other people. Some kind of segregation fatigue sets in after some point. So, there has to be continuous learning, continuous campaigns that need to go on to revive interest in that. What happens is, pioneers like us, we set up a system and come out. The subsequent ones don't even think they should get back in touch with us. Okay? So everything boils down to human ego, behavioral problems, honestly speaking.
I know, because we farmers try to sell, when we get their home produce. When Flipkart guy comes and sells an apartment, they don't ask for commission.
Yeah.
When Amazon guy, a Swiggy guy comes and sells something, no commission asked. But when farmer comes and asks to sell something, there's a commission asked. They ask for 30,000-40,000 rupees. If one for a monthly. So I've tried many times. But many farmers have tried. Now because farmers are individuals. You're talking about AI, right? Agriculture individuals are AI. They have to use it. You have to engage this agriculture, farmers. Now we become a group.
So I just want to.
Farmers have become a group now. Farmers are not become a group. They are individuals. Now that's why we're solving the problem. So that farmers are group, and we collect the feedback from the farmers and the fundamentals, what needs to be grown, so that we have most all the varieties, fruits, veggies, whatever is possible to place, so that we can directly deliver it.
So I just want to add what BSWML is doing for the past 2-3 months. Few wards like in Dasralli and RR Nagar, they have pure wet waste. There is no mixing of any other things. So such waste, we are directly taking it and delivering in the farmlands. There's a trench port, and we are transporting it, making a trench, putting the waste, and the farmers are happy. They're already having. So in case you have that kind of needs, we even don't want your vegetables. We just want to give you our pure wet waste. So get in touch with us and we will be happy to provide. Okay. We can go to the next step about taking your produce and seeing. But if this first part you're interested, please come with us. Thank you very much for all your interesting questions. We end the panel here. And as I said, let the dialogue continue and let us reduce our waste and make sensible and sustainable choices. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to the panelists once again.
Thank you, ma'am. A heartfelt thank you to our panelists for a truly engaging and insightful discussion. Your perspectives have enriched our understanding of sustainable waste management and inspired us to think collectively about solutions. May I now request representatives from Bengaluru Science and Technology Cluster and the Bangalore Apartment Federation to kindly present mementos to our panelists as a token of appreciation. Professor Srimati Ramamani VK, KS. Professor H.S. Chanakya. Professor G.L. Sivakumar Babu. Mr. Shekhar Prabhakar. Miss Archana. And our moderator, Miss Savita Hiremat. I invite all our dignitaries to join us for a group photo. Before we conclude, we are delighted to share that our next episode in this public lecture series will be held on February 28th, where we'll be discussing the critical theme of water security. We warmly invite you to be the part of that conversation. Please do visit the stalls and community showcase exhibits in the lobby to witness sustainability in action. We also encourage you to join us for networking tea, where ideas and connections can continue to flow. I request BAF representative to make few announcements and conclude the session.
Slide changes, right? Yeah, yeah, I got it. Yeah, before that, I just wanted to once again, take a moment to thank our sponsors who are for supporting the inaugural episode focused on waste management. We have rightly picked sponsors who actually have solutions. So starting with Hasirudala Innovations, that is our episode partner, Aditi Sponge Soup, which is our digital partner, and Metsi Envirotech, our stall partner. I think at least there are a couple of stalls outside, so do check them out if you haven't already. With that, I just wanted to take a moment to actually, we are figuring out what is the right channels to actually continue this conversation and just not leave it here with the discussions in the room. I think there's plenty. While you can converse and chat over tea, we also encourage some of you to join the BAF SWM group. It's a WhatsApp group which already has plenty of experts, and some of us already in the room, and probably some of them who are already on the panel. So any questions, follow-up queries, solutions, issues that you're facing, particularly related to apartment communities, please join the group. If some of you are still new to BAF, which I'm guessing is a very small percentage, and are on an apartment MC or an apartment resident, if you are already not a BAF member, we encourage you to use the other QR code to actually join there. And as my previous MC already spoke about, we actually are going to have another 5 episodes on different thematic areas that are very relevant to not just the apartment communities, but the larger urban citizens. So if you have any collaborations, partnerships, sponsorships that you'd like to explore with us, there's a number here. Prasad is somewhere in the audience. Oh, he's right there on the left. So in case you want to engage with us and continue for the next 5 episodes, the water one's already announced. The interesting thing is all these episodes are done on the last Saturday of every month. So you can expect one in Feb, March, April, May, going up to June. So it's easy to remember, last Saturday of every month. Just spend your Saturday afternoon with us. That'll be great. So if you want to explore any partnerships or any of that, Prasad's right there in the white shirt on the left. Thank you so much.